Hello and welcome to my channel, Crochet and Copy. My name is Judy. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this lovely pool-size granny dress in woman's size small. For the larger size, there is a pattern. Check out the description. Let's get started. I just wanted to show you the beauty of this yarn that I got. This is the large size of the dress. So I worked up this one. And this is not what I'm going to show you how to do in the tutorial. I'm going to show you the small one, and this is not the yarn because this yarn is from the Loops and Thread. It's a polyester blend, and this one is 226 yards. So I needed 2 balls of this to complete the larger size of our dress. But unfortunately, when I went back to the store and even online to purchase the same yarn to work up the smaller size in this tutorial, I could not find it, so that's why I'm not. But I just wanted to show you how beautiful, if you use a different kind of yarn, how it looks. This yarn flows a little differently. You see when we do our tutorial with the other yarn. And this was also a light 3, okay? So just to show you how it looks. I think it came out really nice. I like the flow of it and the feel of it. It's light, so when you wear it, it's very light. It's not a heavy. The light 3 makes it really nice. I think it came out really lovely. I love this one. I just wanted to share the measurement of our dress before we get started. And remember, this is for the woman's size small, okay? So across the chest area and flat, this is like 20, okay? 20 inches, but remember the flow of the yarn, and when you put it on, it will expand, okay? Just keep that in mind. It does with the cluster of our granny stitch design. It makes that effect, all right? And then try my best to get everything in the camera shot. So I'm going to measure now from the top, the shoulder, and all the way to where our dress ends, okay? So from the shoulder seam to the end of our dress, it's about 27 inches, okay? So you're aware of that. And remember, woman's size small, but it does expand when you put it on, all right? So these are supplies you're going to be using to make our poolside granny dress. I go over them with you. The yarn we're using is Lion brand yarn. It's the Mandala bonus bundle. In this ball of yarn, it's 1,181 yards. 100% acrylic. It's a light 3, and the color is Meowth. Okay, so that's for our yarn, and we need 1 of them to complete our project. And this is the hooks that we're using is USJ 10. It's a 6.00 millimeter. A yarn needle. And a few stitch markers. And lastly, our scissors. And that's it for supplies. Just want to let you know, with this ball of yarn, I've noticed that with the picture, each ball of yarn is done a little different. What I mean done a little different is they set it up a little different when they're completed. Because you see the picture has the white in the center, but the white is not here. So when we go through the tutorial, you see the different color and how I set it up. But if you get this same yarn, how it would change the color of the dress, but it would stay the same color. All right, if you can understand what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm not confusing you. Because you have the same sequence of colors. It's just that when you start from where you start from will make the difference of it, how the dress is laid out. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. Our pattern state that we're going to start with 84 chain. So for us to get started, to get our yarn attached to our hook, we're going to do what's called a slip knot stitch. This is how I do my slip knot stitch. If you have another method, go ahead and use it, okay? I take the yarn, drape it over my 2 fingers, take my hook, put it between my 2 fingers, and I pull up a loop of yarn, and there you go. I have a little knot tighten that knot against my hook, and that's it. That's a slip knot stitch. Now that we have our yarn attached to our hook, we're going to do the 84 chain, okay? And a chain is simply yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And when you're working with it, keep it loose. Don't do it tight, okay? So we need 84 of them. So keep a track of where you're at. And when you finish doing 84 chains, I'll meet you there. Okay, so that's how we look when we did our 84 chain. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet in the second chain from our hook. This is the first chain, and this will be the second chain. So we're going to put one single crochet right there. And of course, this is row 1 that we're working on, okay? So a single crochet is go into that chain, pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, and pull straight across 2 of them, and that's it. And so you don't lose your spot, you don't have to do this if you could find it when you come back. Just put your stitch marker right there, because it gets a little, when you come around, if you do it, you see you could hides a little bit. So that's why I'm just telling you to put your stitch marker there. You don't have to if you don't want to, okay? So now we're going to continue doing single crochet till we get to the end of our row, okay? I'll show you again how to do the single crochet. Go into the next chain, pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across, okay? Another time I show you, go into the next chain, pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across. And remember, keep your stitches loose, okay? Don't crochet too tight. Go into the next chain, pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across. And that's it for the single crochet. And just to let you know, if you wanted to make your dress longer, in the sense of because this will be the length of our dress. So this will be from your shoulder, and then this will be to where your knee is, okay? So if you wanted to make it longer or shorter, all you do is you're going to, when you start your chain, you're going to adjust by taking off 4 to make it shorter, or to make it longer, you're going to add 4 more chain to it when you start, okay? So if right now we have 84, to make it longer, you add 4 more. 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, and so on and so on. So you're going to do your multiples of 4, all right? So that's how you make your dress length longer. So go ahead and continue working with the single crochet till you get to the end of your row, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we got to the end of row 1, and with the completion of row 1, you should have 83 stitches, okay? Make sure you have 83 stitches. Now to start row 2, you're going to turn your work. So now you're going to chain 4. You know how to do the chain, all right? So just go ahead and do 4 chain. And that chain 4 count as our first double crochet and a chain 1 space, okay? So now we're going to skip 3 stitches. So the stitches that we're going to skip, this will be the first stitch right here. So we're going to skip that. So skip 1, 2, 3, all right? And then following stitch, that will be our 4th stitch, we're going to put our 3 double crochet, and I'll show you how to do the double crochet, okay? Now for a double crochet, you're going to yarn over your hook, and make sure you skip your 3, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th stitch, you go into that stitch, and you pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across the first 2 loops on your hook. And with those 2 loops that remain in your hook, yarn over and pull straight across. And that's how you do a double crochet. I'll show you 2 more times, okay? Because we have to put 3 double crochet in our first stitch here that we're working with, all right? So yarn over, go into that same stitch, pull up a loop of yarn, 3 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across the first 2 more loops of yarn remaining on your hook, yarn over, pull straight across those 2, all right? Show you one more time. Yarn over, go into that same stitch, pull up a loop of yarn, 3 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, pull across the first 2 loops, and to complete the double crochet, yarn over, pull across those 2 loops. And that's it. That's how you do a double crochet. And that would be the first of our granny set. That's what we're going to call it when we work with it. This will be our first start of our granny set. So now this is the pattern that we're going to follow till we get to when we have 3 stitches remaining. And when you have 3 stitches remaining, then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so till you get to the end of the row with 3 stitches remaining. This is the pattern we're going to follow. So now you're going to chain 1, and we're going to do double crochet in the next 4th stitch. So you're going to skip 3 stitch, 1, 2, 3, and this will be your 4th stitch right here. You're going to put 3 double crochet. All right, so that's it. We put 3 double crochet in that same stitch. So remember, the pattern is you're going to chain your 1, you skip 3 stitch, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th you put 3 double crochet. So go ahead and follow that pattern, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we made it to where we have 3 stitches to do for row 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain our 1, and we're going to skip those 2 stitches, and where our stitch marker is, because that's our last stitch to do from when we did row 1. So all you're going to do is you're going to put a double crochet there. All right, so go ahead and put 1 double crochet at that last stitch. So that's with the completion of row 2. So now make sure that you have, because when we first started, and I told you our first 3 double crochet that we put there would start our first granny set. So make sure that when you count, you have 20 granny sets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on, because this will be just our double crochet, and this is where we turn. Okay, so that's not a set, but the set consists of the 3 double crochet in 1 stitch. So before you move on, make sure you have 20. All right, for row 2. Now to start row 3, we're going to turn our work, and now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this will be considered, now we're working on the right side, because when we first started with row 1, that's our right side, and when we turned for row 2, that was the wrong side. So we're back at the right side now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stitch marker that we had, and I'm just going to center it, just eyeball it, and I'm going to put it right here. So I reference it, and later on we could find it and makes it easier. Okay, so that's all we're going to do with our stitch marker. Put it anywhere in the center, and that will be our right side of our work. And that chain 3 we did count as our first double crochet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in that chain 1 space from the previous row, we're going to put 2 double crochet. All right, so go ahead and put 2 double crochet, and that's how we look. So now this is the pattern we're going to follow for row 3. So you're going to chain your 1, and you're going to double crochet now into the chain 1 space. Okay, from what we did from the previous row. So that's 1, and these are our granny sets, remember. 2, okay, and then you're going to chain your 1, and then find the next chain 1 space, and then you're going to put the 3 double crochet there. So that's when you're doing the granny set. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how to do the others, because it's just you chain your 1, all right, and then you find the next chain 1 space. So you skip in the 3 stitches that would have been our where we put our 3 double crochet from the previous row, So you put 3 double crochet, chain your 1, so you're skipping 3 stitches, and then you go here and put 3 double crochet because you're making the granny sets again over, right? So you're going to do that till you get to where you have these 3 stitches right here remaining, and then I'll meet you there, okay? And then I'll show you what to do at this corner here. We made it to where we have the last granny set, so that's our 3 stitches. So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain our 1, and we're going to put 2 double crochet in the turning chain that we have here, right? So that's 1, and that's 2. And also to complete this row, we're going to put a double crochet on the turning chain. So how you do, what I do is I count, this will be the first chain, the second chain, and then third chain. I like to pull this back so I could get into it, okay? So find the third chain. What I do is I use the little back bar, because when you make the chain, they have a little bump or a little bar in the back, like here. So that's what I use when I go through, okay? When I'm completing for this pattern. So this would be chain 1, chain 2, and I'm gonna, I like to pinch it to the side because these stitches are nice and open too, so you could see them and work with them. If you're working with a smaller hook or you do it tight, the chain, it makes it a little harder to get in there. So make sure you go under those 2 loops from our chain, and then just complete our double crochet. All right, there you go. So now with the completion of that row, row 3, you're going to have 19 now of your granny sets, okay? Make sure you count, and before you move on, you have your 19. And what I like about this pattern is that it's fairly easy when you get used to it. It moves quickly, and if you make a mistake, the next row over is like, what happened? So that's, it helps, you know, it's a nice pattern when you work with it. I like it. So now to start row 4, you're going to turn your work, and basically everything that we did for row 2 we're going to do here for row 4. So you're going to chain your 4 and keep it loose as you go along, okay? Remember the chain 4 counts as a double crochet and our chain 1 space. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find that chain 1 space, so we're skipping the first 3 stitches, and then we go into that chain 1 space, and we're going to put the granny sets there. And the granny sets, remember, consists of 3 double crochet in that same chain 1 space from the previous row. All right, so now for row 4, you're just going to continue and do the same thing, the same pattern like I said for row 2. So you're going to chain your 1, because we always do our chain 1 between our granny set, and then you're going to go find your chain 1 space, put your 3 double crochet, and you're going to do that till we get to the end of our row when you have these 2 stitches right here remaining, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you there. So we made it to the end of row 4 to do when we have those 2 stitches. So we're going to chain our 1, and we're going to skip those, and we're going to do a double crochet on the turning chain. So it's going to be the 3rd chain. So this will be our 1st chain, our 2nd chain, and then our 3rd chain. When you do it, you see it, because you know when we started we did a chain 3, right? That was considered our first double crochet. So now we're going to complete it, and like I said, I like to go underneath the 2 bars of our our chain. See? All right, and then we put our double crochet there, and that's the complete row 4. Make sure you have your 20 granny sets, and when I say granny sets, remember it's the completed granny sets, not the turn-in chain that we will have. Okay, and then like from row 3, how we started here, because this was the turn-in chain, it's not a complete granny set because we only put 2 double crochet there. So it's the starting of the 3 double crochet, that will be our granny sets. Okay, so make sure you have your 20 granny sets before you move on. So now to start row 5, you're going to turn your work. So now for row 5, we're going to repeat what we did for row 3, because we're starting to repeat our rows now. All right, so row 3, we started off by doing the 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and what we did, we put 2 double crochet in the first chain 1 space. All right there. So there we go. And then we had chainer 1 to start our pattern for row 3. So I'm not going to show you how to do the other additional rows that we need, because it's just repeating now. So all you're going to do is repeat row 3 and repeat row 4. That's all. So now you're going to work with this pattern till you get to row 34. I'm not going to show you how to do the other rows, because we're going to repeat row 3 and row 4, because we're starting in row 5 now. Okay, and that's how you're going to do. Jot down where you're at, keep a track of where you're going, because we're going to go to row 34, and when you finish row 34 and we're going to start row 35, I'll meet you there. Okay, so this is how we look so far when we made it up to row 34, because we're going to start row 35 now. Okay, so we did awesome work so far, did great work. All right, so now we're going to start row 35. Now to start row 35, you're going to turn your work and you're going to chain 1. So now 35, what we're going to do is for each of our stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. You know how to do the single crochet. You go into the stitch, and that's our first stitch, and then you're going to do your regular single crochet. Just pull through. All right, and find, like I said, this with this hook and with the light 3 yarn, you open up so you can see it, so it works out good. So go into each stitch and put 1 single crochet. All right, that's all you're going to do till you get to the end of your row, and I'll meet you there and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so now we made it to the end of row 35 to do, and we have to have our 83 stitches. So we need to use, remember when we start with the turn-in chain, that 4, we said it counts as one of our double crochet and one of our chain 1. So we have to put a single crochet in 2 of our chain, okay, to make it, we get back to our 83 stitches. So just make sure you go under 2 loops in the chain. So that's 1. And I like to pinch it to the side. Well, you've been doing it, so you know how you feel, because we got all the way up to row 35. Okay, and that's it. So now all that's left for us to do is we're going to fasten off. By fasten off, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to pull up a nice size tail. And the size tail I'm going to pull up, I'm going to say it's going to be about 20 to 25 inches, and then I'm going to grab my scissors and cut it off, because we're going to use that tail later on for sewing. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you there. I wanted to let you know, if you wanted to make your dress wider, all you need to do is just add more rows. So I went ahead and cut off my yarn, and that's it, and that's how we finish off at row 35. And that's how we look. And of course, by doing that, when you finish off, we finish off on the right side, because there goes our stitch marker to remind us where our right side of our work is. All right, so that's how we look when we finish. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and make another one exactly as we just did for this front piece, or the back piece, wherever you want to put it in your dress, I call it. So go ahead and do the exact same thing we just did. All right, then when you finish that, and when you have your 2 pieces, I'll meet back up and show you what to do next. So now we made our second piece, because that's our first piece and this is our second piece. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew up the shoulder of the dress to start forming the dress. Okay, So we're going to sew on the right side of our work. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay one piece right side down, not facing us. And then the other piece, you're going to have right side facing us. Okay, there goes our little stitch marker, all right? So that's how we're going to sew, because we're going to sew it on the right side. And so by doing that, our tails that we left earlier, we have one end we'll use to work up this side. This will be the shoulder, and then the other tail will be here. So we could use it to sew up the other side of the shoulder. Okay, so that's why you do that. Make sure you have it there, because if you flip it the other way, if one tail is on the other side, it's okay. You could just cut a new piece of yarn and do it, but I think it would make it easier if we use the tail that we left earlier, okay, to sew it up. So make sure that now this will be considered the bottom of our dress, and we don't have our tail here. Okay, our tails that we left are up top of our dress, where we're going to show up where the shoulder will be. All right, okay, I've attached my yarn needle to my yarn, and what we're going to do, we're going to start sewing it up with what's called the mattress stitch. I'll try my best to show you, because when we did the turn in and we used those chain, it's a little hard to see exactly where I say place the stitch, but I'll show you as best as I can. Okay, so now since our yarn is anchored here, I'm going to come over to the side in the front of our work, but I'm going to pull up. I want to get two strands of our yarn. So where we started with that single crochet, it's a little too much gap, so I'm going to go like pull it here. When you do it, you see it. So we have, see, 2 loops of yarn on my hook, on my sewing needle, my yarn needle, not my hook. Okay, so I picked that up because I want to make sure it's anchored and come back where my yarn is attached to. Okay, and that's how we're going to start it. All right, now I'm going to flip it and turn it towards me so I could see it a little better. All right, and since I'm here over the other side where the yarn was coming from, I'm going to go back to make sure I just secure it as best as I can. Back over there, and then one more time back over, like our single crochet we started with, because we did the chain and then we did that single crochet to start row 1. So that's what I'm just trying to make sure it anchor it. And with this mattress stitch, it's similar to when you're doing your shoelace. That's what it is. Okay, we're going to go back and forth, back and forth. I'll show you as we go. All right, so now we're attached to this side, so we're going to go under, and I try to pick up as 2 loop as I can, and this is our turn-in chains on the side of our work, okay, of the row. So that's all I'm going to do. So now we're going to try to find the next chain, come back under, and then you just pull it as you go, not too tight, but tight enough that it closes up. We want to make it tight. Back under. See, I'm trying to find 2 loops of the chain. And then back over. And then back over. Try to pick up as you're trying to make it nice, and you're trying to make it secure, because like I said, it was the, and try to line it up too. That's the other thing, because we have the rows, so we have the opening, and then we have where we have the granny sets at the end of the row. Match them up as you go along. All right, so remember that, keep them lined up. So I'm trying to do it for the tutorial. I'm trying to gauge it myself. But when you do it, you could see it yourself and you get a feel of it. But try to keep it as nice. So we're here. So now we got to come back over here underneath. And back over here. As a line up. Make sure your space is where the space is. And the cluster of the double crochet and the chain 3 stays together. All right, come back under over here. So that's all we're going to do. All right, so we're going to do that. What I did is I did it for 7 inches across, so that would be my shoulder. And when you do it, I did it like, count it, it would be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So I stop at the 9th, and that should be your 7 inches. Okay, so go ahead and do it. When you get to the end, I'll show you how I tuck it in, because we're going to tuck it in since we're attached here. But just go ahead and do that, the under, over, under, over. Okay, that's it. So I think that's how it looks so far. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I finish it off. So I'm going to go and take the yarn needle and go inside now, because I'm going to weave it in. All right, now that I'm flipped inside, I went ahead and I'm inside now the dress. So how I'm going to do it is just going to pick up one little, like 2 little strands right here, and I'm just going to go through it before I pull it all the way. And that gives me a little knot. Hold on to it right there. Okay, and now I'm going to weave it in as best as I can. I want to use the color yarn that matches where I'm weaving. So I'm just going to pick up a few as I try to hide the tail. Though I secured it by putting that knot there, I'm just going to go back and forth a couple of times so I feel comfortable. I don't want it to bunch up though at the shoulder. But I'm just trying to hide it over and over, back and forth. Okay, and I'm trying not to come out the front, although this color yarn matches up. I'll show you the next side. All right, so I think that's good. So now I'm just going to cut that off, and that's it. So that's inside of her shoulder. And this is the outside, how it looks, what we did. I went ahead and did the other shoulder, and this is how this side looked. You see the color yarn a little bit, because this is the white, and then we had finished off with the darker color yarn, and this is inside how it looks so far. Okay, so go ahead and do the other shoulder exactly what we did. So I'm just showing you one, so you go ahead and do exactly what we did here, and keep it even as you can. All right, measure it as you go. And of course, if you want your opening for the neck area to be wider, of course you don't have to close it up as much as I did. You could do less for the shoulder. All right, but the opening of the neck is like, I would say 9.5 inches, close to 10. So go ahead and cut off a new piece of yarn. I did about 60 inches, and that will be, should be enough for us to sew up the side of the dress, because we're going to start sewing up the side of the dress now. Okay, and when we start sewing up the side of the dress, we're going to use the bottom part of the dress, because this is not where we sew up the shoulder. All right, the shoulder we have at the top, so we're going to start to sew at the bottom of the dress and then work our way up. So now we're going to use the mattress stitch as we did with the shoulder. Of course, my yarn needle is attached to my yarn, and it's, you see, it's a little shade different than what we're working with. So, and we're not attached, so I'm going to try to hide the starting part of our tail. So I'm going to just go through, these are the single crochet that we have. Okay, so I'm going to right through our single crochet, and then I'll give it a tail because we got to tuck it in. Leave that there for now, and we're going to do the mattress stitch as we go along. Okay, but I come back over without doing a mattress stitch. I'm just trying to hide that little tail that I got to start off with. See? All right, keep that there. We're going to tuck him in later. All right, then we could start with the mattress stitch now, okay? And of course, now with the single crochet, it makes it a little better. And this part will be a little slow going, like when we did the shoulder area, but keep everything as you go along where they match up, where you have the hole, and where you have the, it would be the granny set. Keep them together as you go along. So look at it as you go along, but it's the same method that we used when we did the shoulder. It's now that we have the single crochet, we're just going through that. All right, back and forth and back and forth. And you pull it as you go along a little bit. There you go. All right, so that's all we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to do, find a single crochet, go under it, and just back and forth. And then you give it a little tug as you go, so we can hide the yarn underneath. And what you're going to do, you're going to stop, you're going to go up, and you're going to stop. Oh, and you're going to leave, what we're going to do, we're going to leave a 10-inch opening for our armhole, okay? So you're going to stop sewing, and as we tucked in, as I showed you, I went inside after I finished sewing it up. So just take your time as you go along and just find the single crochet and go under them, and that's it. So I won't show you how to do the other side, but you get the idea. Just do everything that we're doing right now here, and then that's it. So remember, keep 10 inches unsewn because you need for your armpit area, okay? The arm opening area. And that's how we're looking so far. Okay, so now I finished sewing up the side of the dress, and of course I left an opening for the arm area, the arm. So it's like 9.5, 10 inches that I left open, okay? So that's how it looks on the right side, and then this is the inside of our dress, and this is the other side. It's the right side of the dress, and then this is inside the dress. So now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet around the arm opening. I went ahead and I did the other side already, so this is how it looks when I finished it. Okay, so we're going to do this one, and I'm only going to show you how to do one, and you go ahead and do the other one, okay? So for this project, this is how I'm going to add the yarn. I have a slip knot stitch connected to my hook already, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this stitch right here in the by the armpit area, and just we're going to attach it with a slip stitch, okay? And a slip stitch is just go into that stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull straight across, and that's it. That's how you do a slip stitch, okay? And then we're going to chain one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put one single crochet around our arm opening area, okay? So with this first stitch that we're going to do, I'm going to put our stitch marker in there, so that, because you know how to do the single crochet, that's what we started with. All right, so just go ahead and do that. And then when you get around, because this is where we did the single crochet, it changed up a little bit here. I'll show you when we get there. All right, and when you do it, you see it, but for here you see how you could see the single crochet perfectly. So just put one single crochet in those single crochet that we had. All right, and then I'll come back in and show you. So now we made it to the top of where we sew up our shoulder. So right here, I'm going to put a stitch. I just want to show you, because now you see it's like we're working on the opposite side of the chain when we first started. Because this side of the dress will be where we end off with that single crochet. This side of the dress is where we started with the single crochet. You see what I'm saying? regarding when you do it, all right? Hopefully I'm not confusing you. So for here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 of loops of yarn, right? Picking up 2 as we go along instead of just the 1. Like if we were working on the opposite side of the chain, I just want to make sure that I have it doesn't pull on our sleeve. So that's what I'm doing, picking up the 2. Okay, so just want to show you that. And then when we get back to the stitch marker, I'll show you what to do there. All right, so just continue to put in 1 single crochet. Okay, so we made it to basically where our stitch marker is. And so I wanted to show you where we join the yarn by doing that slip stitch and that chain 1. We're also going to put our last single crochet right there. All right, and now take out your stitch marker, because that's completion of round 1. So we're going to start round 2 and just put a single crochet right there. Put your stitch marker back in, and all you're going to do is just finish it off by putting 1 single crochet around. And that's easier now because we did it. All right, so when you get back to the stitch marker, I'll show you what to do next. So continue working with 1 single crochet around. Okay, so we made it around, and that's the completion of round 2. So now what you're going to do, take out your stitch marker, and we're going to slip stitch right there. All right, you know how to do the slip stitch, and that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a tail, and the tail is so that I could weave it in. I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so I'm going to grab my scissors and cut it off, and I'll attach my yarn needle. So now I'm going to weave in my tail, show you how I do it. So where we just slip stitch to that stitch, a single crochet, I'm going to go in the middle of it, and I'm going to go to the back, come it inside of the arm. Okay, open it because I don't want it to show to the front. And there you go, how it looks. So I turn it now so that I'm inside, because that's the outside of our dress. The inside of our dress, I'm going to try to weave it in and hide my tail as best as I can. Okay, so that's all I'm going to be doing. So that's it, that's how it looks. And this one, go ahead and weave it in. If you want to, you could do it now or after, but I'll show you the other step. But this is from where we started when we join it. I'm going to do it later because I want to continue showing you the next step that we have, okay? But of course, I won't show you how to tuck this one in because you follow the same process I just showed you, how I hide that tail, all right? So the next step that we're going to do now, this is the neck opening area, so that we're going to crochet around it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So of course, when we're crocheting, we're going to crochet on the right side, the same thing we did with the arm area. We crochet on the right side of the dress. Okay, so you're aware of that. You could pick any end of the shoulder that where we seam up to start to crochet. I'm going to choose this side. Okay, so it's where we sew up the shoulder. And I'm going to use the same method that I use when I join for the arm area. I'm just going to slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 1. What we're going to do, we're going to try our best to put a slip stitch around evenly, okay, for the neck area opening. So slip stitch, you know how to do it, and keep the slip stitch as loose as you can. I know that could be hard. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put my stitch marker in that first slip stitch we did so that I know I have to stop there. Okay, so for where we have the chain space, I'm just going to go into them because the yarn and the crochet hook makes it big that we can get in there, right? and just do a slip stitch, but try to keep it. See, I split the yarn there. Try not to split your yarn. Okay, pull it up. There you go. All right. So this is the chain that we have when we made the turn. So it's just, we're going to slip stitch across, and I'm going under 2 of the loops of our yarn. All right. So slip stitch as we go along around the neck. Keep it as loose, because if you do it tight, it adjusts the neck opening area too, because slip stitch could get tight. All right, just continue doing that, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. All right. So now we made it around back to where we started and where we joined our yarn. I'm going to put a slip stitch right there too. That will be my last one, and that's for the round 1. So now that's it. We're finished, because we're only going to do 1 time around the neck. Okay, so that's completion of round 1. So what we're going to do, we're going to fasten off, but we're going to do the invisible fasten off. So I'm going to pull up a nice size tail, and I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to grab my scissors and cut it off. Okay, I attach my yarn needle to my yarn, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So where the stitch marker is, we're going to go right there. We could take out our stitch marker. Stitch marker was to help us know where to stop and where we started. Okay, so just pull it through under the 2 loops, and then we're going to go back. We're just trying to make it look nice. All right, go back to where yarn is coming from and go inside the dress. All right, we're going to weave it in there. There you go. Okay, looks pretty good. Looks nice. So I'm not going to show you how to weave it in, because I did before. So go ahead and weave in all the other tails that we have, and that's it. We did a pretty good job. So that's it. That's how we look when we put 1 round of the slip stitch around our neck. Okay, I think it came out pretty nice. We did awesome work. So now, if you didn't do already, go ahead and tuck in your ends, and also too, with our stitch marker, you could take them out now, because they helped us out by, when we sewed on the right side, we know what side is the right side for our dress. Okay, and two, with this dress, it's up to you to decide what you consider the front of the dress or the back of the dress. For me, I'd probably try it both ways. I'm going to try it and see which one I prefer or like, but I don't mind. I think either side would be the front or back for me. All right, so you get to decide that in your choice. And of course, we didn't do anything to the bottom. I don't mind the bottom being like that. It looks fine, looks nice. If you want to do something in the bottom by putting single crochet, it's up to you, like we did for the sleeve. Okay, that's it. We're all finished. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun making it with me. I had fun showing it to you. Till next time, bye-bye.